Call this meeting to order.
Patty has to call to order.
Oh.
Because you haven't been appointed yet.
The acting mayor will call the meeting to order with the pledge of allegiance, and then the council will have to elect, make a motion to elect by the
You to present.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I have to make a motion to elect Justin to step in place of Joe, actively. Okay.
I'll second that.
Say aye.
All right.
Now you can take over.
All right. All opposed? Motion carried. All right. Approval of agenda. Can I get a? Is there any changes?
There is one change. We added the general fund first quarter financial report you will get next month. And then we deleted that, and then we did add the discussion of the RDB project payment.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second that.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Open forum. Does anybody want to speak? Anybody? All right. Move on from there. Consent agenda. Approval of the minutes. Approval of the bills and purchase orders. Approval of investments. Donation resolution number 2023-26. A donation from the Albany Lions. A donation resolution 2023-27. Donation from the American Legion Post 101. Donation resolution 2023-28. Donation from the Melrose Lions. Donation resolution 2023-31, a donation from the Grey Eagle / Bertram Lions Club. A donation resolution number 2023-32, donation from Melrose One Stop. And a donation resolution 2023-33, donation from Ron's Oil and Propane. And then a gambling resolution 2023-30, gambling resolution for St. Mary's Church. That was a mouthful. All right, can I get a first and second?
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second it.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Presentation, Knowledge Bowl team and speech state champions.
So we have the privilege of not just having one set of champions, but actually two different sets of champions with us this evening, both the Knowledge Bowl and the speech team. I am actually going to let their coaches come up and visit. Are you Ellie? I don't see this. You guys are all Knowledge Bowl. The speech team isn't here, are they? Okay. But if you want to get up, sir, if you want to go to the podium and just say a few words about your group and tell us what it was like to win state, that would be awesome. And then we'd love to make a presentation to the students.
My name is Bill Laris, and I'm the coach for Knowledge Bowl in high school. I've been doing that since 1997, so for a while. I would like to introduce the team. The captains on this end, we have Grant Hellerman, Austin Kelzer, Natalie Enright, Tanner Sand, and Cole Shelgren. They are all seniors. We have 30 kids out for Knowledge Bowl this year, 11 seniors. These 5 went to state, and so they'll all be graduating, so we'll see what happens next year with the new group. They had this goal set for a long time that they were going to state. Fortunately, this has been the 3rd year in a row that we've been there. We placed 4th last year and 3rd the year before, but this is the first state championship for Melrose and Knowledge Bowl, so it was a great accomplishment. We went through won the conference, went through the subsection pretty easily actually, and then the section, we made it on to state, won the section. And at state there, this was the first year of 3 different classes, 3 different groups, school sizes, that kind of thing. And so we didn't really know where we were going to end up until you get there. because after all the teams qualified, then they divided by population. And we had been competing in the subsection and sections in the smaller schools, but once we got to state, we actually were in the middle schools. And so we weren't exactly sure how it would go, but things just went. And they did an awesome job. They started out well, stayed consistent scoring. We stayed in room 2. Knowledge Bowl is divided up by top 3 teams in room 1, next 3 teams in room 2, and then your scores accumulate. And so we started in room 2, but that was like tied with 2 teams in room 1. You know, it's very, very, very close. And the last round, we went up to room 1, and we were against Minnesota Valley Lutheran and New Ulm. Thanks, guys. We had played New Ulm twice that day. They beat us once. We tied them once. We had not played Minnesota Valley Lutheran, but Minnesota Valley Lutheran is who we played in a playoff round last year and beat them. So we ended up in 4th place and they were in 5th place. We also played them in 2017 in a playoff round, and we got 3rd and they got 4th. So we were ready to go. I'm sure they were as well. There's 45 oral questions, 3 groups of 15, and a buzzer strip, so the kids can buzz in whenever they think they know the answer to the question or the guess for the question. It's usually what it is. And we were 0 for 9, right? We had no points after 9 questions in that last round. And the other 2 teams each had 3, if I remember right, either 3 or 4. And it was just like, doesn't matter. We're just gonna go. They didn't know that they didn't have that until the end when we processed it and analyzed. I knew it because I'm keeping score in the audience, trying to stay calm and not give any kind of facial response of any kind. And all of a sudden they got question 10, and then they got question 11, and they got one more in the end there, so they ended the round 3, 3, and 4. They were 4, 4, 3, something like that. And the second 15 was ours. I believe that we got 8 of the 15. We were 8 points behind, I should say, Minnesota Valley Lutheran starting the very first round, so we had to make up 8 points to tie, and that's a lot in Knowledge Bowl. And we passed them on question 39. There's only 45 questions to go. They don't know that yet either while they're playing. I'm just like, and we had probably 25, 30 Melrose people in the room with us. So that was pretty good, and they're keeping score too, and so we're all just kind of, and they plugged along, and they plugged along, and we got ahead by 1. Question 45. Question 45, if Minnesota Valley Lutheran gets it right, we're tied. We have to do a playoff. We were okay with New Ulm. We had a big enough lead on them. And let's see if I can remember from memory. They started the question, some biologists and sleep bugs. And I looked at the floor. I was like, I have a guess, but do they have a guess? And they're whispering amongst themselves, and Austin had a guess, and he told Grant, and Grant's like, he asked everybody else, anybody here have a guess what the answer is? Daylight savings time. The discussion about canceling daylight savings time, they got it from those first 4 words and buzzed in, and they got it, they won.
Wow.
Now, we still don't know if we won because you don't know what happened in room 2, so we had to go check that out right away, and then we were pretty safe. State champions for Melrose.
Wow.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
So we actually have, as we call your name, we're gonna ask that you come up. We have certificates for you, along with a little gift to recognize you guys. So we'll have you all come up after your name's been called, and then we'll have the council members flank you, and then we'll get some photo ops. So I'm gonna start. We'll just have to, I'll hand out this certificate if you want to hand out the other stuff. We are gonna start with Grant Hellerman. Grant.
Thank you.
You bet. if you just want to go the end, Grant, and then we'll go ahead and just,
Congratulations.
oh, did you want to be reading this?
Got a line going.
Austin Kelzer. Congratulations, Austin.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Natalie Enright. Congratulations, Natalie.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Ellie Heller, who was not here this evening. Cole, Chelgren, am I saying that right, Cole? There we go. You bet.
Congratulations.
And Tanner Sand. Thanks, Tanner.
Congratulations.
Let's give a round of applause for these kids. Great job. And then if you guys want to stay there and you guys want to go on either side, Coach, you need to get up there as well. And we're going to give you directions.
Do you need us to scoot in just a little bit?
Do the team members want to come forward and then the council members go behind them?
They're taller than
can.
me.
Or you do the
Or do you want to come in the
opposite.
front here?
We're good. We can do
Otherwise,
this.
it's such a.
Yeah, we can do this.
Fill that paper out.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Oh, yes. The other team, as we said, it's Ellie Heller that was the state champion in, I believe it was serious, was it serious drama? Does anyone know? I can't. Ellie, what was her category? Storytelling. Okay, so Ellie is, I believe this is her second year in a row winning state. So Ellie is not here tonight, but she was the state champion for the Melrose speech team in storytelling.
Do you want them to take her certificate?
Yep, I think I will. Do one of you want to take her certificate then, please? Thank you.
Perfect. Move on to monthly reports. Police department.
Nope, we can move past that.
No police department. Okay. City attorney report. The general part. This one.
Oh, yeah, straight. I do.
Riverside development next door. Close on sale deadline on Monday this week. So that one's done. It's up to the developer now to start work. Also, we're working on the purchase agreement for another piece of land. Matt would be picking up on the east side of town back in the daylight for developments. So that's in the works. And then finally, we've talked here about ongoing problems out in Rose Park and we're good.
Thanks, Scott. Does Craig want to give his report?
Go backwards.
Good.
Craig, you're out. Police Department report.
Good evening, apologize for being late. April, our traffic area, we had 19 citations, in April 23, 50 verbal warnings and 1 written warning. We had 244 calls requests for service, last year was 262, and we ended up with a CR 995, and last year was 1048. 22 agency assists, lower than normal for us on that. Area intervention, we're going to be working with Centric here on a bike rodeo on the 24th of the high school by the football field. The Lions are involved. Unifor Squad is going to have 2 bikes available for the raffle, as well as the teaching bike safety. There's going to be homes to be given away that night with the Centric Area and those sorts of things. They will be providing bikes as well if nobody has one. The schools are going to get flyers for this, so hopefully have a good turnout. 5 o'clock till 7 p.m. is when it's going to go for. And we encourage parents to come along as well so they can reinforce the safety on the bikes after the event is done. So that's
What date was that again?
the 24th, Wednesday, Wednesday the 24th. And so up at the football field, there'll be food provided as well, so that'll be available for people. School's coming to an end. We do have a parade. The seniors requested a parade again this year on the 26th. The ceremony's at 7, so about 8 o'clock-ish. 8:15, 20, we should be starting the parade. We'll get that broken out on social media so people are aware of what the report is going to be. Do remember it's the same road as the last couple of years, but in the event that it's still going to come out, we can open. That. That was the end.
Well, thank you.
Any questions?
No? Thanks, Craig. City planner report?
Will you check to make sure that microphone's on, please?
As Scott mentioned, the craft lot next door sold and the closing was held on Monday. We had a pre-construction meeting today with all of the contractors and everyone involved. As of 4:52 this afternoon, their building permit was approved. And they have told us that they will be breaking ground next door the first week of June. So we should see, and we went through everything about traffic and parking and all those things during their construction. Railroad West, there was a joint meeting of the council, MATA, Park Board, and Planning and Zoning, where we discussed the platting of the area and opening up some residential lots. We have an update from Granite City that they have retained an architect, and they are currently working on full plans and specs for the apartment building. We had planned to discuss the comprehensive plan proposal tonight, but we are going to wait until June for a discussion with the full council, as well as some ordinance changes concerning nuisances, vacant buildings, and some building permit penalties. The Welcome to Melrose sign is happening. Want to give a shout out to Gary and his crew for getting the site prep ready. The Lions are making their plans now to put the concrete pad down and to build the pillars. And so that will be happening really any time now. The park board is going to meet early. Instead of end of June, they're going to meet on May 21st, and we're going to go down in the park and we're going to map out exactly where the full court, basketball court is going to be. And St. Rosa Lumber should be starting on the restrooms shortly. Other than that, building permits are crazy. The 14-year average for building permits, the annual average has been 137. We are currently at about 130 already for this year alone. And so some of it is leftover re-siding and re-shingling from last year's storm, but we're also seeing bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels, decks, sheds, and a really good number of business expansions, building on sheds, improving homes, improving businesses. So it's going to be a busy summer.
Thanks, Sheila. City engineer report.
All right, good evening. Have a couple actual items to talk to you guys about this month. Construction started on the 2023 street project that was on 4th Street. Had a little incident today with somebody running just pay attention to those barricades, they're for your safety just as well as people working out there. So we just ask people to pay attention to those, find your way around. Fifth Avenue is actually only closed for about 2 weeks here while this dewatering done. And then as soon as we can get it out of there, we will go back up. So some patience is appreciated, and certainly everybody in the area has been good. Talking to people that don't feel the barricades are important, but hopefully everybody else does. Get some education out there. It's not a local problem, it's becoming more regional. We're having a lot of problems with back our barricades. But the important thing is that it's not just for the person who's driving safety, it's the people that are working there. So any reassurance you can have for people in the town would be appreciated. That's all. Otherwise, the rest of my items for tonight are actually later on the agenda in action items. Except I will tell you on Railroad West and the trail up by the new sidewalk at the high school. We've done the survey on all those and then we're going to decide on this progress is being made. Unless there's questions, I'll be back up in a minute.
Thanks, Dave. City Administrator report.
So just to add on a little bit to really what's very momentous about next door. So for those of you that have been in Melrose a very long time, I believe it was in the mid 80s, was it, that the craft lot burned? 1989. So there was the plant that was there and it burned, and that sat empty for a number of years. And then in 2016, there was a building that was caught on fire on Main Street, and we were able to obtain funding for that and kind of stopped and started a few times, but fortunately we had Senator Westrom and Representative Anderson that made sure that that funding was always in place. The purpose of that was to make sure that we had housing as well as retail development for to replace what we lost in the 400 block fire. Obviously, the craft lot made a lot of sense at the time. There were, again, a lot of stops and starts. There were several developers that looked at it for a variety of reasons. It just didn't work. And so the fact that we got to the finish line, I think, is very commendable. I think it was something that this council was extremely instrumental in. Our MATA board was very instrumental in. I think that also planning, parks, everyone involved, all the leadership in all the boards really deserve the credit for making sure that we as staff were able to move this forward. I always say it takes a team, and we have an excellent staff that worked on this project, and so they need to be commended as well for all their efforts. So I just wanted that put out there because I think it's a very important thing and really an exciting milestone. So, congratulations all the way around, and I think it's going to be a beautiful project and many people are going to enjoy it for many years to come. The tax legislation, we think, is done, and we are pushing to get a significant increase in local government aid. The House version was the one that we as in the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities, which Melrose is part of, supported. However, it did not pass in its entirety, but we didn't go back to the Senate version, which is a significantly less impact than what the House version was. So according to the numbers, if these all go and get signed into law, we are probably looking at a net change in about $208,000 next year for local government aid. So that will be a little bit of an increase there. As far as the rest of the session goes, stay tuned. I think we're going to have a lot more to report on in June. There were several things that were passed that are going to impact us as a community, and so we'll hopefully either get somebody from the coalition out here or we'll have good information so staff can report back and let you know what's going on there. So those are really the only two things I have, and the rest of what I have is on the remaining part of the agenda.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to action items. Ordinance 05-18-2023, amending chapter 153 of the Melrose City Zoning Code.
Okay, at the March 27th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, a public hearing was held regarding changes to section 211.06, subsection 1.3 of the zoning ordinance concerning the use of metal roofing in residential areas. Action was then taken at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on April 24th, recommending the council consider adopting the revisions. We briefly talked about these revisions at the last meeting. Included in your packet was the ordinance change that Scott had drafted. And so the action item tonight is the council to consider adopting the revisions to section 211.06, subsection 1.3 of the zoning ordinance to allow exposed fasteners on metal roofing in residential areas.
All right, any discussion? I think we talked about this beforehand, or, at the last meeting, so. Guess I'm just.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
And I'll second that motion.
All right, I got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. 2023-24 LMCIT Property Liability Insurance Quote.
The city and commission received their annual quote for general liability, repairs, omissions, auto, equipment, and property insurance through the Legal Associates Insurance Trust. This would run through a period of May 15th of this year to May 14th of next year. The total quote is $145,403, which is up from $125,215 last year. The cost of the premium is shared between the general fund at 36% of the total cost and the utility fund, which covers the remaining 64%. The overall premium is up 16.4% from the prior year. And according to the leads and underwriters, this is due to several different reasons. Property insurance increased 18.5% due to inflation being a major contributor, and also overall rate changes that affected every city in Minnesota, especially to civic buildings, city halls, fire stations, community centers, police stations, water, sewer, electricity operations. The mobile property premium, which is any vehicle that we own that like off-road vehicles, your loaders and stuff like that, those are up 18.5% as well, and they're tied to our annual premium for the property. Municipal liability premiums are up almost 13%, due to an increase in exposures that they saw statewide. Auto liability is up almost 15%, and auto physical damage is up 17.5% due to additions of newer property. We got the new fire truck and things like that, as well as overall weight changes for certain types of auto classifications. Our liability experience, MOE, it increased 0.33% from last year, and our auto experience mod is up 5% over last year. The city's insurance coverage has a $5,000 deductible, and it's a $15,000 aggregate. So once we pay out on three claims for $5,000, we get a max for the year. The city needs to decide whether or not to waive the
Seems like a lot that it went up, but.
Yeah.
So does that change at all? I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but our fire rating change. I know people can save a little bit on their homeowners insurance, but does that change this at all, being that our rating changed?
We did see in addition, fire and police both went up this year too, and I wasn't sure why, but when I was digging through the LMC's information that they provided, it seemed like across the board, everybody was
Right.
looking at the same kind of increase.
Okay. All right, well, can I get a motion to approve, or?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried. City center doors / security.
So over the past 6 months, a subcommittee of city staff, Stacy Funk, Chief Mouse, and Roger Avelsgard, had been meeting. Sometimes I think Gary was part of that discussion. I think once or twice maybe Sheila, but it was to determine the security plan needs for all municipal buildings, including city center, fire and ambulance, public works, wastewater treatment facility, and substations. There are several components involved in this, and it's a comprehensive security plan. It is to be noted that this has actually been in our budget for a number of years, I think going back at least 4. As part of that plan, last month, both the council and the PUC did approve the camera additions and upgrades for municipal buildings related to the cameras. So the second and third part of the overall security is to install the key fobs and other security upgrades, panic buttons, new front doors, etc. Because it is a substantial price tag, rather than doing it all at once, the determination was made to do it by each building, with the city center being the highest priority building that we have. So the city staff worked with several vendors. It came down to both Arvig and Heartland submitting quotes, and the original quotes that came in were above what our budget really was. The original quotes were actually closer to a total of just 49,000, I think, for Arvig and 50 some for Heartland. I think there was a little bit of confusion on some things, so if you'll see in front of you, I gave you guys there's a little breakdown. So if you look at this, the selective vendors, it's the selective vendors mid-central door, which has to put in some of the electronics related to the safety, and then Freeport Electric also has to do some work. So mid-central door and Freeport Electric are fixed costs. One of the things that we had in here was for not just the front doors, but the east door, the library with a panic button, the conference room A, which is the council chambers, conference room B, conference room C, office entry, reception door with panic button, office back door, police entry, and the weight room entry. That is an exterior door, just so you're aware of that. What we elected to take out was the mechanical and boiler rooms. That saved us $5,800. The other part of the original quote included a card reader, which we have also taken out. So once we took those things out and we were able to get that down, then the total quote from Arvig is $45,421.81, and from Heartland it is $48,437.81. Both of these quotes come under our security budget of $50,000. Keeping in mind, of course, this is just city center, so in future years we are going to have to budget security for the other buildings. So right now it is $4,577.19 for Arvig, and then $1,562.19 for Heartland. The PUC at their regular meeting did approve their share of this, which is $22,711.41, and the city share would be that same amount. This morning, Council Member Clausen did send me an email expressing some concerns that he had related to this project. If you want, I can read the email, or you received it, I believe all of you received it prior to this meeting. So I just want you to be aware of that as well. But this is something that the staff did work on to get these quotes under what our budget is. So we're asking the council to give consideration concurring with the Municipal Utilities Commission approving the contract with Arvig for upgraded security and key fobs as presented. I know one of the questions that was asked is, why is this necessary? We went through an active shooter drill, was that 2 years ago? And so we identified sort of the vulnerabilities that exist. It is sad that we have to think about this, but this is a public building. There is a number of people that come in this building on a very regular basis. During times when people pay their payments, the library is used significantly. The library is used by individuals, it's used by families, it's used by many, many, many people. They have a children's story hour. If something were to happen, they don't have the ability to, there's no panic buttons or anything on those doors to be able to let them get to a place that's safe. So, and then it's also just our meeting rooms get used significantly. So I think we do a very good job of kind of keeping track of keys. But what's nice about a fob is if you have the meeting room from 7 to 9, that's it, you're turned off, and then it's a security as well. If they don't turn that fob back in, we can just shut it off and disarm it, and you don't have to worry about it again. So, and again, if you have any other, Chief Mouse is here, he was on the committee. If you have any questions for him, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them, but that's kind of where we're at. I however, want to note that there were some concerns expressed by Councilmember Clausen.
Was the recommendation to go with Arvig out of the two?
Correct. And part of that is, that is our staff recommendation. That is a staff recommendation, what we presented to the PUC. Number one, obviously they're a little bit lower. The other part of it is we then have everything with one company. So the cameras, the IT, the telephones, everything's running through Arvig. So if there is an issue, then we know it's Arvig, and then they have to fix it, versus what we've had in the past is we've had so many different vendors, and then they all just say, oh, it's not on our side, it's on this side of it. It's the communication side, or it's different things like that. So Arvig is right across the street. They are very responsive in terms of the other contracts that we have with them. I did not get an opportunity, just because the person I need to deal with is on vacation this week, but we also have the opportunity to really look at our service agreement contracts with them. If we are going with everything and they're our preferred vendor, then I feel very confident that we're going to be able to bring those service agreements down significantly. And those are just the agreements that we have every year with all of our providers that provide significant services within the city. So that is what I have related to that.
I guess my question was on the conference room. You kind of answered that with people coming and going.
Yep.
When we're not here, I guess.
Yeah,
Is that how we do it now, is we just hand them a key? And
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have to bring that key back,
Yep. Well, on the fob, ideally, I guess you don't have to bring it back. I'm not sure how that works. I mean, it'd be nice, but then we disarm it, and then if they forget and somebody leaves it like a hotel, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
You would probably want the fob back from a cost perspective, Lori.
Yeah, I would say you really definitely want to get those back.
Should have like a deposit.
Yeah, can we
Yeah.
put a deposit kind of thing on there?
Absolutely. I think that's something that we certainly can look at. There is is there a meeting? I believe we have a meeting room deposit now.
Yeah, but like a special deposit, because I guess, because you don't get that deposit back, do you? For that?
I know we do at the park, the damage deposit.
Yeah.
We just hold on to that. I guess I'm not super clear. I don't know if Patty or anybody else would know that, but I'm not sure, but that's certainly something we can institute. And I don't have a problem charging a little bit more for a deposit related to that.
I was thinking they could even get the deposit back, but just make sure you get the key or
Yep.
the fob or the,
Yeah.
Yes.
if it's the part, make sure everything's in good order.
You bet. Yeah, we certainly can. We do that out at the park, obviously, for the pavilions, so. I think there is actually $100 security deposit. There is, that they have to put down here at City Center for meeting room space. So,
Okay.
I guess if it's recommended by the committee to move forward with that and PUC's kind of looked it over and approved it, I don't have any problem.
I don't either. Just like you said, just making sure that there's like a deposit
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, I got a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. A wording Arvik, that is, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
All right, Community Development Director job description / wage scale.
So at the request of the Melrose Area Development Authority, the city planner position has changed to Community Development Director. If you recall, when we hired the city planner position, it was taking the place of what was a Community Development Director role. At that time, we did have an economic development consultant that we were working with that was providing those services. And with the planning position just being a new position, it was, you know, this, you have to do the planning side of it first, and then, you know, we're gonna see how that goes, and then we'll look at, looking at a different way to approach that. Sheila has been in her position for quite some time, and she's actually proven very well that, she is more than she can handle the planning as well as the economic development role. And so we feel that it would be very appropriate at this time to put her in that role. Ad hoc did meet and review the job description for the position. So we did what was called the safe evaluation to determine the wage scale, and we're asking the council to give consideration approving the job description and wage scale. They would give so that's one action item. The second action item is the council to give consideration approving Ms. Hellerman to step 1 on the wage scale with a review in 6 months. So just so you know, and it's clear, so one of the things that ad hoc and the council and the PUC as a whole kind of got rid of is sort of the designation of the different departments on the administrative side. So really, community development, it is a department, but it falls under administration. So it's under, that's kind of how the hierarchy works, just so you know. So that is what is in front of you.
All right, the council will give consideration approving the job description and wage scale. You need 2 action.
You two give that one first and then
Okay.
Second one, yeah.
So can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All right, first and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
Make a motion.
Give consideration approving Ms. Hellerman to step 1 on the wage scale with a review in 6 months.
So moved.
And I'll second that.
First and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. All right.
Okay.
Accounting clerk / office coordinator job description wage scale.
Very kind of similar. The accounting clerk position job duties have changed significantly around IT, marketing, and then she is really going to be taking on a lot more duties related to coordination. So when we talked about the security project, or we talk about anything related to these items, that particular position will be taking that on. So myself, Doris Reeland, our HR generalist, and then our finance director, Ryan Meyer, reviewed the job descriptions and completed the safe evaluation for this one as well. Ad hoc did meet and review the job description for this position, so the PUC met and approved it as well. The council to give consideration approving the job description and wage scale. So this is a little bit different in that we're not creating a new position, we are simply changing the job description on what's existing today.
I'll
Okay.
make that motion.
And I'll second that motion.
First and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. City clerk licensing coordinator job description.
This was another one, we were just doing general cleanup on several of our jobs, and this one was one that needed clarification, general cleanup overall of the job description. This was a position that in 2014, actually, under the safe evaluation, did see a significant increase. So there is a change in the job description, the wage scale would remain as is. So the PUC approved this as well, the council to give consideration approving the job description.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I'll second that.
First and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. All right. Got boiler repair.
Do you want to talk about it, Gary, please?
So the one that you're asking to approve for 10, you know, you can fix it for 10,000. I read on there that you had one that, like, you guys take it apart.
Yeah, we could see,
Or-
which we intend to do, we would take the strap off the back, seal, open the front up to save some labor. We could
Does-
save about $1,100.
Does that do anything like warranty wise? Like if you guys put it back together, they're like,
All we
oh,
would do is insist in time.
okay,
They would still put the blues in, we would put it back together, and they would run it to make sure, because these have to be state tested.
oh, okay,
We have that, we have to carry a license to operate a boiler, we need the state of Minnesota, put that up every year to sign off on it.
okay,
So, these are both certified companies with the state,
okay,
so they have to have an approved stamp.
right. I just thought it was $1,000 and I was like, well, if there's any chance of voiding or anything, I was like, well,
They still need the state stamp in.
Okay.
They have to put it back together, do the system or not, and they have to run it and check it for these.
okay. That was my question. I don't know if you guys got any questions on it.
No.
Sounds like the repair is a good option to go.
Yeah, yeah, you know, like I said, sometimes we use it 2 days, and sometimes we use it for 3 weeks. It's something we do need. Some of our catch bases are so shallow, you need to thaw ice to get to the actual pipe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Council will give consideration on the quote for burn boiler and,
I'll make a motion.
Second.
all right, got a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Ultra thin bonding or bonded wear course / micro mill street project.
All right, this is the thing we talked about last meeting, briefly, I talked about it in my report to the council, this is a little more formal action for you guys to give us a thumbs up to actually get some bids on this guy. We'll actually have to advertise this more than 175,000, we're expecting about 250,000 when we do it, for that work, so. That's what it's for you guys right tonight, is authorization to do so.
Okay.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that.
All right, I got a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Railroad West soil boring quote.
All right, I'm a big fan of giving you guys the opportunity to contract directly with ICP or testing agencies, so I don't have to work up there subcontract under me. So what I do is I coordinate it for you and let you guys contract directly with them. So it's a way of doing it that makes it straight up for you guys. $6,900 from ITT, it'll be able to give you 2 to 3 weeks to get our soil borings done. You know, so, basically infiltration, topsoil depth, any number of things.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All right, I got a first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Amendment to development agreement with Riverside Development Group LLC.
We have mentioned earlier the closing with Riverside Development Group on the craft lot did occur on Monday. As you will recall, we extended the purchase agreement in March to May 15th because the project was working its way through the environmental assessment process, and engineering and bidding and everything else. The parties have all been well aware of this process and the additional time that was needed to bring the project forward. The original development agreement contained a project start date of November 1st with a substantial completion of December 31st, 2023. The development agreement needs to be amended to reflect the current plan for construction, which is a start date of, we've got May 22nd, which is Monday. It looks like it's going to be, you know, in that area, they're going to start moving equipment, but the actual breaking of ground will be the first week of June. Substantial completion is expected next summer, so July 31st of 2024. So we just need council to consider approving the execution of the amendment to the development agreement by and between the city of Melrose and Riverside Development Group for the timelines on the craft projects.
All right, any questions?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Old business, discussion of RDB project payment.
So on, Tuesday. Yes, I believe it was Tuesday. We did, what we did is we went through and did the walkthrough of the RDB project. So, city staff was there. WSB was there, the county was there, and Landwehr was there. So we went through and we identified, you know, the issues, the punch list items essentially for the RDB project to be able to finish it up. Two things that came up during that process is there is a sidewalk that is located on the south side of the dam that is undermined. Again, it happened, obviously we had a very unusual amount of pressure there due to the water flow that was coming over the dam, etc. It sounds like, based on the conversation that was happening before the meeting, that area kind of has undermined over the years. I mean, it has for a long time. So the question is, we have 2 panels in there. Do we just extend that dam wall so that doesn't continue to undermine? Or there's another option that they have, is to put sort of these steel plates in. Dave can probably explain it better than I can. So I don't know if you want to kind of tell them what the 2 options are.
Not having known the full impact of their proposal here, I take a little educated guess on what we're looking at here. Option 1, like Lily mentioned, is to extend the wing wall. So there's 2 sections of wing wall up there, basically right from the face of the dam, come all 2 panels wide. They would extend that to either a third or a third and a fourth potentially. It sounds like it'd be an easy fix, but they're really deep. Those things are probably 50 feet in the ground. So there's some pretty significant work associated with that. The other option would be to drive steel tiles in there. Probably equally effective as far as fixing the situation. Maybe not quite as aesthetically pleasing, and may have some potential problems with, you know, durability in years and years. Realistically, it's probably going to fix it either way. Until we get pricing on either one, I don't have a recommendation of the council which we have to go. But that are the 2 options that Landwehr and WSB are proposing right now, as I understand.
So just making you aware of that situation. So that was the biggest punch list item. And then the other one is the outstanding $11,000 for the additional 119 feet of pavement that they did past the entrance into Sauk River Park. So if you'll recall, we had a storm sewer that had to get fixed, but they went way past the project limits. And Stearns County is very clear when they do their projects that this is the limits. It doesn't matter if just beyond those limits, those roads are in really tough shape. They do not do anything beyond whatever that project limit is. This was a situation where, you know, there were 3 different people out in the field, and we got 3 different versions of what really happened, and everyone's doing, you know, it's the city's responsibility, it's WSB's, it's Landwehr. So we did meet, and Mike Decker from the county did ask on site, you know, what's going to be the resolution with this. And, you know, I said that the city council would agree to pay up to $10,000. And then Landwehr and WSB are just not budging. They claim that, you know, they're holding no liability for this. And unfortunately, it's just not that much money to, you know, I'm not sure what you guys want to do. And this may be a discussion we wait until June 15th to have. I just wanted you to be aware of it. The one thing I will say is we have 2 big projects coming up with the county, and the city and the county have always worked very well together. I don't want to put us in a situation where, you know, right now they're kind of holding the bill. You know, they're holding that. All of the contingencies and everything else have been paid out. The contractor's been paid. So then we're sticking the county with something that they were very clear that this was not part of their process. So I don't know as I wanted. To me, that doesn't seem like really good public relations between the city and the county. So I want to make it right with the county. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The other thing is Ryan was kind enough to put together for you this evening a revised contract work to date, as well as any of our change orders that we've had. And so there is retainage, but that's also included in the work certified to date. So we are under contract by about $28,959. However, depending on what you guys wanted to do with that dam wall, that just know is 100% the city's responsibility. That would not fall on anyone else. You may be able to go back and make the argument that maybe WSB didn't do as what they were supposed to from a design standpoint, but I think it would be really difficult to do that because the city really worked with them to try and get that rest of that trail connected. So that really is our responsibility. That we can, again, we'll take Dave's recommendation in June based on, you know, what the costs come back at. We can have Landwehr do it to finish up the punch list items for this project, or we could potentially bid it separately. Although honestly, either way, it's not going to be cheap. So we can look at that later. But I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up on this one. And we are under budget. So that's where we're at. And if you guys want to wait until June 15th, when the full council is here to have that discussion, that's fine. I just wanted you to be aware of it.
Wait.
I would say wait.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Okay. No new business, informational items, utilities, commission meeting minutes, and schools and conferences. Yeah, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second it?
First and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.